topic for today was how the maximum speed of Iron Man. You all know who Iron Man is, right? You know, superhero, the man, the machine, the legend. We decided this time to find out how fast the suits of our favorite superhero can travel within the Earth's atmosphere.
So, I'm James.
And I'm Harry.
We're just doing this because I told him to do it. And everyone else is doing it.
Because you told them to do it.
Yeah. So we're learning how to research. So here is some methods we have found out to come up with how fast Iron Man could be by looking into multiple clips we have found in the movie.
In analyzing the top speed of Iron Man's suit, we decided to settle on two scenes from the first original movie only, as there are many iterations of Iron Man's suit that are appearing in the later movies, and we wanted the index to be on the most basic Iron Man suit configuration we could find, which is in the first movie. Therefore, the first of the scenes we chose from the first movie to demonstrate his speed is the scene where he is being chased by a jet.
Hello. Wait, I'm driving the top down.
We chose the scene where Iron Man is being chased by the jet, because in that instance he's probably not slacking off with his speed because he's being chased by a pair of military jets that will probably shoot him down and kill him. So, the fighter jets in question are Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptors, which incidentally have a top speed of Mach 2.5, or 2.5 times the speed of sound, which is 343 meters per second at 20 degrees Celsius at sea level. Of course, for our purposes, we will assume the speed of sound is the same for any altitude, but again, this is just reference, and of course, we don't really need an exact measurement, so yeah. In the movie, we can see Tony Stark fleeing from the said Raptors, which probably were traveling at their exactly top speed, so let's estimate they were traveling about Mach 2. In that case, that would be about 680 meters per second. And since Tony Stark appears to be outrunning these fighter jets, we can assume he's faster than Mach 2 at the very least. However, once these fighter jets shoot a missile at him, everything changes. Now, the missile in question, that's an AIM-9 Sidewinder, ladies and gentlemen, that travels. Now, Wikipedia wasn't very precise with the speed. It said it just went faster than 2.5, but we'll assume the missile travels at about Mach 3 to Mach 4, and since the missile appears to be catching up with Tony Stark in this case, I think we can assume that Tony Stark's suit can fly faster than Mach 2.5, but slower than, say, Mach 3 or 4.
The other clip I found to measure how fast Iron Man could be was a clip where at the end of the first movie where he lures that bald guy to follow him to this freezing zone so that he could like smash him down with gravity, with the help of gravity. So now we know that Tony's armor doesn't freeze at a certain temperature because he has tested this out in the previous part of the movie where he knows when he reaches such an atmosphere, due to temperature reasons, the devices like his armor would malfunction. So we know that the temperature is definitely going to be below 0 because 0 Celsius, because the water crystals start to form around the armor. And through research, we found that cell phones can withstand the lowest temperature around -40 to -50 degrees, and roughly the same temperature that is fatal to almost all devices. Now, although Stark's technology can be far more better than other phones, we neglected that factor just to make the calculation easier. During the flight scene, we know that Tony was in an atmospheric level where there is a formation of ice crystals. However, it is safe to say he was high above the temperature where clouds are present due to the previous clip where Harry mentions about Iron Man flying near the clouds and near the jet. So we concluded that he was not in the troposphere, where as he flew above clouds, and he must be around somewhere in the stratosphere, as that is the region where jets fly. So here's like this diagram which shows the temperature and the altitude of the troposphere and stratosphere. Temperature increases back again at higher altitudes. That concludes, which means that the ice crystals shown in the video would not be present. Therefore, Stark must have not gotten higher than that. therefore, we can safely conclude that that Stark was in the stratosphere, but not high above the higher ends of the stratosphere. God, I'm really bad at pronouncing today. So we have chosen the maximum altitude that is potential due to things like their acceleration and that their high tech would freeze in a lower temperature than the cell phone. Thus, we conclude that Stark was around 20 kilometers above sea level. Now, for the speed, we just need to know the time, which took around 41 seconds for them to reach the region we think they were. Therefore, concluding that his speed was 487.8 millimeters per second, which is slower than what Harry said. Therefore, which could mean that this is because of gravity and also because the suit power was lacking due to the arc reactor he was using, which was something that was invented when he was in that kidnapping. No, not kidnapping. Well, it was
Well,
like
he was in the caves.
Yeah, it was in the previous version of the arc reactor, which was not that efficient as the one he used to wear. Therefore, it must have dragged him down a bit.
So the last scene we chose is the one directly following the chase scene involving the jets. During the chase, Tony Stark somehow manages to damage one of the $254 million fighters, piloted jets, and yet he has a faulty parachute and the parachute refuses to deploy, which leads to a situation in which Tony Stark flies down to save the pilot. Now, here we are going to invoke some kinematic equations of physics. The pilot ejected at a certain altitude, and it took him 50 seconds to fall before Tony Stark reached him at the altitude he was 50 seconds later. Of course, it was in reality 49.57 seconds according to our calculations, but we'll round that up to 50 seconds for ease of calculation. And so we can find the displacement through the kinematic formula Vt plus half times acceleration times time squared. Which in this case, I'll spare you all the calculations, places him at an altitude, no wait, not altitude. The pilot fell 12.25 kilometers during his descent without a parachute. Now Tony Stark traveled the same time to get to the same distance to get to the pilot to help him open up his parachute, and this took 24.65 seconds, but we'll call that 25 seconds for simplicity. So in this case, he was traveling 12.25 kilometers over the course of 25 seconds. This means D equals SD, therefore the speed at which he was traveling turns out to be 490 meters per second downwards. This turns out to be at the speed of Mach 1.42. Now previously, through the first situation, we have established that Tony Stark can fly faster than Mach 2, which was the speed at which the jet was going. So we can conclude that in this scene, Tony Stark was slacking. But at any rate, that's all we have for today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. James.
And if you liked the video, please subscribe and please check out more videos of other people doing strange questions like Big Macs, water, and like how strong is Hulk and everything. So please subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.